Welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal, and I'm joined by Laya DeLeon Hayes, who's Vicaria of the Angry Black Girl and her monster. It's very cool to have you here.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
So what interested you in the character?
What interested me in playing Vicaria primarily was, one, I wanted to lead a project. I was really excited to lead a movie. And a couple months beforehand, I had also spoken about my desire to do horror, just because I thought as an actor, it would be a good challenge for me. And then reading the script and reading the character description they had for Vicaria, I had never really read a character like hers before. And I'm always yearning to play characters that are, again, challenging and complex. And when you first see her say, like, death is a disease and I believe I can cure death, it was intriguing to me from the very beginning. And I couldn't stop thinking about her and like wanting to dissect her brain. So playing her and seeing how complex she was, even in those few words on a character description, interests me in the beginning.
When you said they're about interested in leading a movie, now you've been acting since 7, so maybe people think, you can never get nervous or anything since you've been in it for a while. But the idea of being the lead in a feature film what was that feeling like?
Oh my goodness, yeah, I think you're always gonna feel nervous. I hope that these things always keep me nervous. It's a way of motivation to like push through it. But yeah, I've been doing it for a while. I started when I was 7, like you said, and then acting professionally when I was 9. And I had done lead roles in voiceover, and I had done lead roles on television. The Equalizer is my main show right now. But to lead a film and particularly an indie where it's not as much of a well-oiled machine as you get on a network show, or even when I was younger doing Disney and Nick. And taking that on, knowing that I was going to be number 1 on the call sheet and knowing there is responsibility that comes with that was nerve-wracking, of course, but ultimately more exciting than anything else. I think Bomani's belief in me was really lovely. And everybody kind of poured into me, which was great. And via Equalizer, seeing Queen Latifah and Lorraine Toussaint, they've led plenty of roles in their life and plenty of projects. Just watching them to kind of help me gain my confidence to take on this role.
When you said like it's not as well-oiled machine doing an independent, what are the differences between that and like a big, I don't want to say a big project, but like a TV show? Because I also assume there's a lot more time constraints on that. Is it more freeing as an actor on some level? You know, I don't know if you have more room to work with on a movie like this.
Oh, completely. I would say it's definitely more freeing as an actor because and it depends on the director and the people that you're working with, but the way that Bomani worked, it was incredibly collaborative. And he wanted to just do takes where we play, where like the script was the blueprint and we didn't have to follow every single note or every single line. He really put an emphasis on that from the very beginning. And of course, as an actor, it's much more fulfilling that way because you just get to try things out and play. And as opposed to like a television show, and especially when it's procedural, like you said, there's time constraints and you come in and you expect to do your job and then go home and everybody's expecting kind of the same thing every day. And you have people who have been doing it for such a long time that you come prepared and you follow the script and the lines, and that's that. As opposed to with indie films or with this film in particular, we got to like let go and be free. The rehearsal process was a bit longer than we get on television shows. So it made it much more easier to get to set and just be like, all right, we've rehearsed, we've got it down. Now let's just have fun.
Does the rehearsal also help with like getting the chemistry together, you know, with your father and different characters in the film?
Completely. It helps tremendously. I think we had about a week and a half, 2 weeks of rehearsal time, which isn't like a lot of time when you compare it to other films. But it helps so much, even with even with Chris, who's played by Adam, he had to kind of figure out the certain body movements and the types of sounds that were going to come from this quote unquote monster, or from Vicaria's creation. And just having like a few days with him to know how we were going to move together, know what our relationship was like as siblings beforehand, was so important to the story, and how obsessed and how much she desires to bring her brother back to life. So yeah, it helps so much. And also, I'm a bit of a scaredy cat, so like Bomani would play like horrifying music, so he can, like,
that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely interesting, but it helps so much.
When you're talking about Chris, when you first see him in the makeup, because I'm sure you're used to him as a human being, so when you see him in the makeup for the first time, what was that like?
It was like already horrifying before even seeing makeup, because he, like,
not because of him, because of this, yeah.
No, not because of Adam, but just because he was already moving like the creature, and he was already making these sounds. He's ridiculously talented, and I think we got to do our scenes together probably a week into filming. So our special effects artist Christina, I could like see her creating the mold for what Chris's face was ultimately going to look like. And I could just remember going in and being like, oh my God, this is going to be horrifying. And then when I saw him for the first time, not to give this away, but it's in a dream sequence. That was the first scene that we had together. And I'm supposed to be like screaming my head off. And I think those screams were real screams, because it was genuinely horrifying.
Do you remember what music Bomani played to get you terrified, I guess?
I do. I do remember the sound, but I don't know what the song was called. He would take like these, it was less of like scary music as it was to horrifying sounds. Like it sounded like children and women screaming and screeching for like 5 minutes straight. So probably some YouTube video online. Someone
yeah. Hopefully it's not just something he's listening to on his regular day, but
day to day.
So, I had Chad Coleman on the show before the movie had come out, and he was really putting it over, huge. And so, and he really put you over. So what was it like working with him? Veteran actor, and he's playing your father.
Oh my goodness. I love Chad so much. He's been one just as a person. And as you probably know from the time you guys spoke together, he's just so unbelievably kind and generous. And he's just a sweet man. I mean, I watched him on All American like 2 years, 3 years before I did Angry Black Girl. And my parents watched him on The Wire. And so to work with someone who has just that much skin in the game, you just never know with certain actors who have been in the business for a long time, how that relationship is going to be. And he was completely open and generous from the very beginning. I think he got in like on some random night, like again, like a week and a half into filming, and he texts Denzel to text me to say like, we need to all get dinner right now. And that dinner that we had before filming kind of set the tone for what our relationship was going to be like during and now off camera as well. So I love Chad, and working with him, there were so many scenes that reminded me of my own dad. There's many things in Angry Black Girl with Donald and Vicaria that remind me of me and my father. So his character and our relationship holds a very special place in my heart.
Yeah, you guys have a lot of chemistry together, a lot of powerful scenes, just the two of you, and also the scene with the teacher.
Oh, I love that scene. Yeah, the scene with the teacher. That's the one in particular that reminds me of my dad, because he would go up to the school and do the exact same thing. So, I loved working with Chad.
It's a powerful scene for the movie, too, because you're very intelligent. The character's very intelligent in the movie. And then even where that should excel, she's, people are trying to keep her down. Exactly.
And it's kind of, I think it's right before that first death we see in the movie too. The young kid, his name is Ellis, and he was wonderful as well. So it kind of sets the trajectory of like what's about to happen, almost foreshadowing a bit. So yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes looking back.
When I had him on, he mentioned the title itself. The first time he read it's very bold because he said it's you know, a lot of people might just see that they think a black girl is angry. They think a black guy is a monster. So when you first saw the title, like, what did you think? Even before you read, you know, the actual synopsis.
Yeah, I think it was the same feeling of just like horrified a bit and definitely caught off guard. It like definitely caught my attention. And I was really nervous about even auditioning in the beginning because I didn't want to play into any angry black girl stereotype. And that was, of course, before reading the script. And when you read it and now when you see it, it all makes sense, I feel. But still, that it's always in my head, like I don't want to play into any stereotype. And I feel it's amazing and crazy that people are having such like big reactions to a title before seeing the movie. But it just goes to show that even when you put something like being mad or furious or anger onto Black women and it's been turned into something racist, it's almost dehumanized us in a way where we're not allowed to be angry. And I feel that in the movie, you get to see Vicaria has every right to be angry. And there's so many moments where she's just a 17-year-old girl. She's soft and trying to just figure it all out. So I think it'll be great for people to see the film and know that the title catches them off guard and then watch the movie and have a different opinion.
Yeah. So I saw it for the first time at Boston Underground Film Festival with my friend Annabelle, who wanted to be here, but she couldn't be here, unfortunately. We both really loved it. When you saw it for the first time with an audience, what was that like? You know, not only just to see it for the first time, but, you know, with people.
Yeah, I was scared out of my mind. I was really scared because Bomani had seen it. The first time I saw it was at South by Southwest, and Bomani had seen it, and I think a few of our other cast members had seen it. And my manager and Brandy had also seen it, I think, something like that, or my agent. And so they had told me they couldn't find like a theater to put it in where I live. So I was just going to have to see it at the premiere. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm going to be able to take this. Just watching yourself, period, is a stressful experience. And this one was a bit more stressful because you just care about a project so much. And having it like premiere to the world or to other people and having it be theirs is always a bit nerve-wracking. But I think once those first 10 minutes started and you see our intro, like all of my nerves just went away. And it was nice to be there with our entire cast and some of our crew because that added comfort. And right afterwards, we did a Q&A, and it felt like the audience had picked up on such small things that I didn't think they were even going to notice when watching the film. And it made me feel validated, like, okay, I think we have something special, because people are taking the time to look at it from a different point of view, and even ones that open my eyes to different perspectives. So,
yeah. And originally you said you were looking to do a horror movie. And so when you found this, it's a horror movie, but there's a lot of social commentary in it, which I think a lot of genre movies do that, genre stories. But the idea of kind of balancing that, because you still want it to be an entertaining movie. Was that ever a concern that maybe this isn't a horror movie, you know, just a straight up horror movie, to balance out both the social commentary and the horror?
I don't think it was too concerning for me because, again, I think you get a lot of, you know, people always call it like woke culture right, yeah. When we're talking about TV and film. And I know how many things I've auditioned for that, like, you just kind of know what the beats are going to be and you know how it's going to play out. And with this movie, because you're taking such a classic story of Frankenstein and you're putting a new, fresh, and relatable spin on it, one that a lot of people in a Black community understand and relate to, it didn't concern me at all, really. If anything, it was exciting. And I think stories like this are important because, like you said, because it's a genre film, you're able to add the excitement and the tension of your traditional horror movie, but also you can have moments where it taps into very real things that are happening in our world. And I think that part is going to really impact the audience more so than any jump scare could.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And were you familiar? I'm sure you're familiar with Frankenstein, but like, had you watched any of the old Frankenstein movies or read the book or anything like that beforehand?
Yeah, I didn't know too much. I knew Frankenstein, of course.
Yeah.
But I didn't know much about Frankenstein before auditioning and doing this role. I didn't watch any other remakes. I wasn't sure if Frankenstein actually lived in our universe in Angry Black Girl. So because they play on like Vicari and Victor, that type of thing. But I definitely read the book. And me and Bomani talked about the book a lot because obviously he's a big fan of it. And I became a fan easily after. And it just came to my attention too that Mary Shelley was 18 when she wrote it.
Oh, yeah.
I got to turn 18 on the set. It's a nice little full circle thing for me.
So yeah, very memorable experience all around. The movie, turning 18. Yeah.
Exactly. A lot of big milestones.
Yeah. Are you a horror movie fan?
I'm not a huge horror movie fan. Honestly, I told you already, like I am a scaredy cat at times. Yeah. But I was really wanting to do horror because, like I said, I thought it would be a challenge for me as an actor. I thought it'd be exhilarating as it was. And now I want to do as many horror movies as I can. But I did love it when it came out, and I did go to the theater like 3 times to see it, and I watched Insidious when I was younger. So yeah, I got to get my horror movie knowledge up, and Bomani always has great ones that he recommends.
I'll be talking to him Monday. I'm very excited about that.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that was the first time you met Bomani was doing the movie. You not worked with him or anything?
I hadn't. That was the first time that I'd ever met him and worked with him. And there's even, there's a not concern or anything, but you just you don't know what an experience is going to be like before you do any type of production. And working with a first-time director, it always has like, you just don't know how it's going to be and how they're going to work. And I think from the first meeting with Bomani, we just immediately clicked. Like I felt that I fully understood him and that he understood me. And I had so many questions for him. Like I was really over there, like, help, I need to understand this fully. And he was super open and detailed and knew his vision from the very beginning. And just as an actor, it made it so much more fun to work with him because his vision was very clear.
And I just want to say it's the second time you played a doctor, but much different role than Dr. Steffens.
That's so funny. It looks like there's a theme here.
All right. Well, it's very cool. And I really love the movie, not just because you're here. I thought it was great. I'm a big Frankenstein fan. I've got many Frankensteins here. And I thought this was a great modern adaptation.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you for watching, and I'm really glad you enjoyed.
Yeah, so go out there and see it. And I'll be on Shudder coming soon, and some other platforms.
Amazing, yeah.
I guess I should also add, how can people follow you? But they could just put your name in, and they'll find you.
Yes, completely. Laya DeLeon Hayes on Instagram. You'll find me there. But watch the movie, and then you'll see my name at the end of the credits.
Perfect. All right. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Yeah. Just real quick. So I don't like to say it on the show about me, but so I produced and was in my first movie last year, and we were we premiered at London Fright Fest, and so I can understand it's a weird experience to go and see a movie with you on the big screen with people, especially.
Right, with people.
I was afraid people are going to walk out, but
Right. It's like, I feel like it's like going to the Apollo Theater in like the 70s or 80s. Like, I don't know what they're going to do and how they're going to feel. Especially, I'm sure if you produced it, like it is like your.
Yeah. And we filmed it in 2019 before the pandemic. So then it was shut down. So it was many years of like being around it and editing it and stuff. So it was so then to finally see it with people, I wasn't sure how they would take it. And so it was both a great experience, and it was also kind of a daunting experience going in.
Exactly. Completely nerve-wracking, but we're getting through it. And it's nice. It's almost like for the next project, it'll be so much easier to go in because now I have this perspective and mentality.
Well, congratulations on the movie and all your success.
Thanks so much. Have a good day.
Thanks. You too. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Brandy.
Thanks, Brandy.
Hi, my name is Kevin Kepi, and I am your nightmare mom. And you are watching Without Your Head. Head.
How you doing?
I'm good. Yeah. Welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal, and I'm joined by Bomani J. Story, writer and director of The Angry Black Girl and Her Monster. It's very cool to have you here.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. So I got to see the movie at Boston Underground Film Festival, and I loved it. I was there with my friend Annabelle. She wished she could be here, but she's at work. But so we both loved it. But for people who haven't seen it yet, can you give them an idea of what the movie's about?
Well, first, I'm liking the decor, your shirt,
Oh, yeah. I wore this one for the
Yeah, and I see you back there, you know what I mean?
Like, but I have Frankenstein up here. I have many Frankensteins around. I am a fan of Frankenstein.
Yeah, there we go. Well, for me, I consider it inspired by the novel, but through a contemporary lens, through the eyes of a teenage Black girl and her quest to cure death.
Yeah, and so right away when I hear that, I'm excited. And the title right away was really interesting to me. But when I talk to some of the cast members, it has a different meaning to them. I'm just a white guy in the suburbs, so I don't know. Yeah. But when I talked to Chad Coleman, he said that like right away when he saw the title, like that really was very bold to him. So can you kind of explain the title? And did anyone ever try to talk you out of the title?
I mean, there's a little bit of pushback on the title at times, but I think overall people started to, get on board with it because I think it breathes its own life and means different things to different people. Whether that's them accepting the title or honoring it or wearing it as a badge of honor, So I enjoy that it has many different meanings to different people, Yeah.
When I talked to Leia, she had mentioned that when she read the title, part of her was a little resistant before she read the script, was she didn't want to play into stereotypes of like the angry Black girl.
Yeah. She told me that too. And when she said that, and she, because she was very vocal to me about that, she said the same thing where she was like, oh, I don't want to play a stereotype because the title, before she read the script, but then she read the script and she started, reading it, and she was just like, oh, from what she told me, she was like, she's not, she felt like the story kind of had its own thing to it. You know what I mean? A lot more nuance and like dimensions than what the title might be necessarily saying and stuff like that. So, and then she started to kind of own it,
right.
The title, which was like, so that was when I knew. I was like, oh yeah, we got something here, because if she's riding on it, then there we go.
And she's great in it. Now, was she someone like you had in mind, or did she hear about it and come to you? Like, how did she get involved?
She auditioned. She came in and auditioned and just smacked it out of the park. She was incredible. I couldn't have been happier with her performance, and I was very fortunate to have her be a part of this project because as you know, she's a BAFTA award-winning actress. Shout out to Leia, the queen. So I was very fortunate to have her on this.
Yeah, and she was really happy about the movie and talked about wanting to do a horror movie and wanting to do and she talked about doing an independent film was like free as an actor.
Yeah,
she was allowed to do more stuff as opposed to. Like a TV series is more like you have to do this because we have to get out every week.
Yeah, I mean, I'll let her tell it. Like,
I'm
like a movie, so
So you mentioned the Frankenstein and stuff. So, are you a fan of the story of Frankenstein?
I'm a huge fan. Like like when I read the novel, I was just so moved by it. I loved it. You know, I was so enraptured by it. Gave me anxiety. It taught me things, you know, and like it just was such a groundbreaking book for me. So it's just like I just love the literature, and Mary Shelley is like, and you know, her being the godmother of sci-fi horror, basically, you know, ushering that in. She was fantastic. Like I just loved it.
Now, interesting you say science fiction, because I've said that on the show too. I think people overlook the science fiction aspect of it because we reading it from back in the day, but there is a lot of science fiction elements of the story.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, there's parts where he's like looking at corpses and watching them decay to like understand them and shit like that. I think in the book there's like whole pages dedicated to that. So there's definitely a science to it. And she was like genre blending, which was crazy, you know, back then.
Yeah. Well, interesting you bring that up because your movie, you know, it's a combination, a lot of social commentary. But it's also, you know, the heart of it's a horror movie, which is something that I like at festivals because it's a lot of times the stuff that doesn't really fit into one genre.
Mm-hmm.
So, but at the same time, when you're making something that, is it hard to keep it like, so you don't want to go too much horror, you don't want to go too much social commentary because it's still going to be entertaining film to balance those two things?
Yeah, I mean, I always kind of find like, I mean, it's always a challenge even to balance like two genres, you know, so it's always going to be a challenge, and, you know, it may work for some people, you know, and it may not for others. Like some people don't like genre, but in general, they just don't like to be fucking bothered. They're just like, man, just like give it to me straight and stop fucking around. You know what I mean? So like, but I'm a big fan of genre blends. I think it creates interesting things and allows you to toy with things interestingly. So, yeah, it's a tough trick, and I hope it works for people. Yeah,
and really, though, I think most genre like stories always have a lot of social commentary in them. It's just sometimes people don't know it, I think.
Yeah, no, I think like there's been like rumblings of people getting upset over social commentary and like.
Yes, I see it a lot on social media. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and I'm always kind of just like, I'm a little bit weirded out by it because it's literally always been there. And all of like, and I don't want to say all, but it's like in the majority of these classics, there's messages in the middle of them. You know, it's like I think about the original Black Christmas, and there's like a pro-life, pro-choice argument happening smack dab in the middle of that fucking movie. You know, and that's one of the you know, one of the kings of like, you know, one of the godfathers of like horror, 70s horror, or even like, you know, even when I think about Halloween and, you know, what it has to do with like serial killers, like those last shots of just like, you know, going through the empty suburbs and wondering where the serial killer might be. You know what I mean? It's just like, what does it have to say about, you know, that? Or I was talking to someone else on, you know, another podcast, and they were talking about how the torture porn era was a reaction to like Guantanamo Bay and stuff like that, you know? And so it's like, it's just always been there, you know, it's like, it's always kind of been there. So it's kind of, it's really wild to me when people kind of start talking about that stuff. And even in just a lot of literature that I read, even like something like Les Mis, it's just like that entire book is just a giant dissertation, criticism and love of France. You know what I mean? Like that's what the fuck it's about. You know, it has those other parts of it, but it's just like if you actually read the book, you completely see that just this guy was very like obsessed with, you know, criticizing France because he believes it can be better. You know, so like whether that's from the sewer system, you know, to like the fallout of the war. So yeah, I just kind of get strange. I think it comes from a place of ignorance, honestly.
Yeah, I remember even having arguments on Facebook over when the new Twilight Zone started, and they were like, "Oh, it's just all this woke social I was like, "Have you ever watched the original Twilight Zone?" Like, that was the whole point of like every episode. Yeah, that's the formation of the show.
Yeah, I was like, it's that's insane. Like, you know, that's like when it's going too far. I'm just like, Twilight Zone is literally that, and you know what I mean? The original Star Trek, the original series. Like, it's insane. Yeah,
that was another one I had arguments about because they're like, well, but it's not as obvious today. I'm like, have you seen the episode where one guy's face is white? You know, and they argue, like, that's pretty obvious of what they're what the episode's about.
Yeah, they're pretty forefront with it. It's insane. It's absolutely insane, but whatever.
So Chad Coleman's great in it, and I had him on before I got to see the movie, so that was kind of weird. But he was like really, talking about it. So his involvement, and it's kind of a combination of his two of the things he's really known for: The Wire and The Walking Dead.
Yeah, no, he was fantastic to work with. He was incredible in this movie. I loved working with him. He brought such vulnerability to the role and such strength to it as well, and was able to just like balance both of those worlds, to me make a fully realized human that you can identify with as her father. And so it was just it was so awesome to work with him, someone that I always loved, especially coming from The Wire and stuff like that. And he was in music videos that I saw growing up that I've been a fan for a while.
Yeah. So did you read the Frankenstein novel before seeing any of the movies, or did the movies lead you to the novel?
No, I read the novel before I saw any of the movies. Yeah.
And then your movie is told through the eyes of the doctor, which the novel's really through the eyes of the monster. And also in most of the stories, the doctor is more of the villain, and I think your doctor is more nuanced than black and white, as opposed to, more gray area than black and white.
Yeah, no. Well, actually, I was like, I'll push back because I do think the novel is through Victor's lens. Like, I think that the novel, that's one of my goals for this movie was to bring that back. I feel like with a lot of interpretations and reimaginings of this story, people really get caught up in, the monster, and they forget that this story is actually about the rise and fall of Victor. That's what the story's actually about. The monster is off screen for a really long time in the book, and then he comes back and has like a giant, tells his story. But compared to how long you're with Victor, that's nothing. You know what I mean? So I really wanted to bring that back and also humanize him, or her, I should say, in this case, and to really bring back this mad scientist character and ground it and humanize her and really justify her motivations. The same way I felt when reading the novel. When I read the novel, I never felt like he was a ridiculous character. I felt like he was grieving. It's like, because in the novel, he loses his mother at a very young age, and he's dealing with a lot of stuff during that time. I think even the plague was fucking going around, probably. It's like, you can fact check that, but
yeah, right.
but it's just like he was in during dark times. So yeah.
And I always think that's the best villain, or most interesting, is ones that, they're right in their own mind.
Absolutely.
So the festival run, what was it like to see your first feature film, on the big screen with people?
It's been awesome. The way it played at South by Southwest, and the way it's been playing for these audiences like Milwaukee and Minneapolis and even Canada and Jim Thorpe and in Atlanta, seeing the crowd, I didn't know if the movie could do that, people react a certain way. So I thought that was awesome.
When you talked about kind of blending the genres, so when you went to festivals, was that because there are specific festivals for horror and underground films and stuff? So you even picking the festivals that you thought it would play at was how was that decision?
It's tough because as a filmmaker, look, man, I'm just trying to get the movie seen.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm not really in a position to try to, put, walls up and try to kind of be like, well, here and there, it's like, yeah, because I'm just hoping it gets seen, and I'm hoping the audience is touched by it. By the film, so for me, it was I was throwing a wide net. It's I understood that it was within the horror genre. You know what I mean? So it's just I'm not going to miss those festivals. But I'm throwing it out there because I'm just trying to get the movie seen. So it's that's the goal for at least for me. It's I want people to be moved by it.
Yeah. Well, I really loved it, not just because you're on the show. I really I really liked it a lot.
Yeah.
And,
Thank you.
so when will people be able to see it on a wider platform?
Yeah, so it'll be coming to theaters June 9th, baby. So, check out a theater near you. I should be playing in a theater near you soon, June 9th.
And I watch everything, at home it's sometimes, but there's no better way to watch a movie than on the big screen. I go weekly to everything. So
yeah, please, everyone, it's like if you can go out and see it in theaters June 9th, I promise you it's worth it. You won't get a better experience.
Very cool. And do you have anything? You're focused on this coming out of theaters, but do you have anything in the works?
Oh, of course, man. My next film. It's like I got a script. The best way I can explain it is Juice meets Lord of the Rings.
Interesting. More genre blending. So
yeah. A little bit more genre building, fantasy / dark fantasy. Magic blurs from the suburbs find Gandalf's staff in a book of spells.
I'm all about this. I'm an old Dungeons and Dragons guy growing up, so more stuff that I'll be looking forward to.
Yeah. Be on the lookout.
All right, very cool. Thanks again for doing this.
No problem, man. Thank you for having me.